Well, good morning, daughter. I'm up at the cabin again. It's kind of chilly this morning. But the sun's out. It's been cloudy. We didn't have we had thunder clouds, but we didn't have any rain. Heard some rumblings yesterday, a little bit out in the distance, but I think today's supposed to be nicer. Uh, Yesterday was pretty mild. We slept with the windows all open last night. Kind of chilly this morning, but it was right. I need to start back where I left off, talking about how we missed a school bus and we had to walk 2 miles through the snow on Skyline Boulevard to the Cal Fire Station. Probably wasn't Cal Fire way back then, but it was a fire station. But anyhow, so it was freezing cold, and we got there, and we there was a payphone out in front, and if you're looking at it, it was on the right, and then like the main offices, I think, were in the center, and then like the station with the fire trucks would be on the left, like there were three buildings or something, if I remember correctly. Anywho, Lisa wound up calling Gamar and Granddad, and because I think to get home, it was still like freaking 2 miles to like our dome through the mountains and shit. If I remember correctly. And so anyhow, she called Gamma and Granddad, and they came and got us. I don't quite remember if they took us back to Watsonville or took us back to the dome. At Pacific. Um, I don't remember. I think Mom had gone to work that day, and she worked somewhere like north on Skyline and like Pescadero or something, doing something. I don't know, probably drinking. And so I don't quite remember that what we did afterwards. Maybe it was a Friday or something, and it was Dad's weekend to get us, and so they picked us up and took us back to Watsonville maybe or something. John wasn't there, and Lisa's gone, so you only got me to remember this shit. So having coffee this time. I was gonna do some recording last night, but I wanted some tea, and I thought I had brought tea. It was like the last thing we grabbed, and I grabbed a handful of chamomile tea, and just said, "Oh, I'll get a Ziploc bag," and so that's all we knew, and so I couldn't find them last night. The tea. And so I texted Dennis and Jan, and I was, "Hey, you guys got any tea?" And so she brought us over 2 boxes of old tea that they had. Well, they're both expired by decades. And one, I was like, I opened up the tea bags, and there was like a dried up big old spider inside the tea bags. And I was like, I don't really need tea. So I was getting my tripod and my camera out that I had in a baggie, and voila, there's the Ziploc bag full of tea. So maybe tonight I'll have some tea. So I'm having coffee in the morning. So let's go back to the questions here. I think that was, what is your earliest memories? Blah blah blah. I talked about burning down the fucking dumpster in Campbell and shit. I was talking to John about living in the tent when the mom and grandma sold the house in Campbell. And he said we didn't live in the tent at first. We lived in that bindery where they like make books or something. And he's all, yeah, it was all screwed up. There was no running water, nothing. We were sleeping on the floor. It was all musky smelling. Then we moved to the tent, and but then we were able to move into a house or something at that point. So Anyhow, so the next question, what was what was the same or different about the way you were cared for as a baby compared to the way your own parents were cared? That was the question I was talking about. What do you know about the house you lived in as a baby? How long did you live there? That would have been, the Campbell house, and I know I went to kindergarten in Campbell, and then with Miss Brick, and the principal mom was good friends with or something. I don't know if she had a fling with him or something, but they were friends up until just probably around the time Auntie passed or something. And that was, I guess he wasn't a Democrat or something, but your grandma, I have a picture of it, I'll have to throw it up or something, of a naked Dick Cheney and George Bush Jr. cuddling, and she like sent it to him. She found it on the internet, or it was in a magazine or something, and he like flipped out on her and said, "Don't fucking send me that shit," or something like that. And that's your grandma for you. Yeah, because that was where we, it snowed. I think I talked about. It was Sherry Casey lived down the street. Lisa was good friends with her, and so was I. Me and her played with matches. I remember as a kid. This is kindergarten, right? Playing with. They had like a Doughboy swimming pool in their backyard, and we would, like, I remember it was on the far side of the swimming pool next to like the fence. We were like underneath the deck, lighting grass on fire, and then I think we were using a gallon jug of like milk or something, but we filled it with water to put it out. That's probably where me and Lisa got the idea to light the paper bags or whatever it was on top of that mattress inside the dumpster. I probably said, "Hey, see what we did? Me and Kate and Sherry lit this shit. Let's go do it." And so I remember, not mom not being around a whole lot, but John was teaching me how to rappel off the chimney at 5 years old, and Lisa had a Barbie and Ken doll, and I think John was on the roof and put a parachute. He had like a G.I. Joe set with a little parachute figurine or something, and so he put the figurine on Ken doll, chucked him off the roof, and he, like, his nose got rubbed off or something like that. You'd have to ask John about that. And I remember Lisa being all upset and with John about it, and yeah, I remember like grandma had like a jewelry box in her bedroom, and I took a $20 bill, and the ice cream man came by, and I bought like one ice cream or something, and he gave me like a Ziploc bag full of change. And your grandma was like pissed, and there was an old liquor store between our Campbell house and our apartment in Los Gatos. It wasn't that far. I see the liquor store was not far from where the park was that used to play when we lived in Los Gatos. That park was actually a literally little league fields that Uncle John played little league at, and also Auntie played little league there too, and so that. The park was like right in the middle between our apartment in Los Gatos off Pollard Road, and our house on Loyalton Drive in Campbell. And so there was a liquor store right in the middle too. So she took the bag of change. I remember going. She dragged me in the. I don't think she had the Datsun by then. Maybe she did. And because she had station wagon when Dad and Claudia, I think, divorced, she had a station wagon, and a story about the station wagon. But you know, I think she needed cigarettes or freaking beer, or burgundy wine or something, and so we went to the liquor store. She had to pay, and with a plastic bag full of change, and I remember being pissed. Yeah, and then. When we were in Campbell also, me and Lisa, she had bought like I don't know if it was a gallon thing of strawberry ice cream, and me and Auntie like ate the whole thing one time when she wasn't there, and we both got sick of puking freaking strawberry ice cream. To this day, I can't eat strawberry ice cream. It's just not my thing. And I think for a long time, Auntie didn't either, and then I vaguely remember her like having some or something like when we were in Los Gatos or something like that, but it was never the same after that. Yeah, good time. And John had a friend there that lived a couple houses down. I forget what his name was, but he came up here with us one time, and we all went fishing in Herring Creek, down the road. As a kid, we used to go there because it's a little safer than like trying to fish down here when you're, especially with like Dad or Dad and Claudia, and having three little brats and shit. Herring Creek's pretty small and had little pools and stuff, and we used to park on the road, and it was way down, and so we have to hike all the way down there. And we'd spend the whole day down there. But John and his buddy that lived a couple houses down, one or both, like there was a big boulder on a bend in the creek, and they were on it trying to fish in the little pool or something, and one of them or both of them slipped and went right into the pool. And it's funny, decades later, being Grandpa, and I probably was 7th, 8th, maybe even a freshman or something. We went fishing down there, just me and him. And I think hey Dad, that's the rock that John and his buddy slid right in. We happened to be in the same spot. And it's funny that trip, Grandpa wound up slipping on a rock and falling into a pool, and like over his head pool, and it's melting snow. and then I think I dropped or he dropped like our only bottle of salmon eggs into this deep ass, like it was like a crack filled with water in between the granite. And I remember I had the ice. It was freaking freezing water, but I think I stripped down to just my underwear and tried going in there to get our thing of salmon eggs, and I'm not sure if I ever did or anything. The Herring Creek was also the spot where Grandpa had the VW van, the white one. We used to go here camping in, and we'd bring it up here. But we only had the two cars, the bus and the bug, and Grandpa forgot to put the e-brake on at the end of the road. Comes to a parking area at Herring Creek, and he forgot to set the e-brake, and we all jumped out and were messing around in the creek, and I think we were gonna go fishing for the day, and it rolled and hit like a tree stump or a boulder or something, and for decades the front bumper had a big old bend in it because of that, when Grandpa forgot to put the e-brake on. And at one time, one of my friends back in East San Jose was Johnny Manning, and Johnny Manning one time came up here with me, and just me, Dad, and Johnny. And Dad took us. Dad had a .22 revolver that got burnt up in the fire, But that's what we learned how to shoot, was with that 22 revolver. And he took us, me and Johnny, shooting down at Herring Creek. And I remember we were shooting. Johnny was it was his turn, and he shot, and we heard us, and it ricocheted. The bullet had ricocheted off something and came flying past the three of us, and went between us and freaking landed behind us. Well, I think we're done. At that point. Yeah, one time I remember in the bus, we were all going back, and there's all the long straightaways between Oakdale and Jamestown. There's some spots where we would always pull off and use the bathroom and stuff, and because bought a bladder, right? And Grandpa had a CB in his bus, and so he would always have it. You'd hear truckers and shit, and we were going home, and I think he had a line of cars and trucks behind us. VW van, man, they don't go super fast, and we could, on the CB, I remember we were listening to the trucker was saying, yeah, I'm behind a locomotive, because there's always a train of cars behind it, and he was talking about the VW. He was referring to VW van as a locomotive because there's always cars behind it, and on CBs it had like a signal strength little beater on there, and so we were pulling off on the left side. So we had to slow down, and all the cars behind us had to stop while we turned left onto this dirt area on the side of the road. And you can see he was still yapping about the freaking locomotive and being stuck behind it, and the meter. I remember the truck going by and the meter like pagan as the dude was talking on it or something. We as adult, me and Josie, we would pull off close to that. There's a bigger pull out that we would stop with, like Soda Pop and Goober, let them go pee or something, right along the old train tracks. We would pull off there instead of the other one. It was a little bit larger and wide open, and I think a little easier to get back on the highway and accelerate, because nowadays there's lots of traffic, so we hardly ever stop there now. Once in a blue moon, if I have to go pee, or I think Max has to go pee or something, we'll stop there. Good times. What do you know about the house you lived in as a baby? Blah blah blah. I don't know if we talk about the other places, about some of the stories and shit, but let's go on to another question. We always come back to that. My coffee's getting cold here. Max, what do you think, boy? What do you think? What do you think? Huh? You got muta? Muta? You muta? You got muta? Love you. You gonna say hi to Auntie Darcy? Huh? No? Alright. This is page 12. Describe a character or personality trait you inherited from each or either of your parents. Be sure to state which parent for each trait. Jesus Christ. Small bladder. I don't know who that came from, but it's a thing. What do we call it? SBS, small bladder syndrome. I don't know who that we got that from. Maybe it was Grandma. I don't know. Hopefully we didn't pick up Grandma's bipolar. At least I don't think any of us did. I think I like to joke around, and that probably came from Grandpa, but your Grandma's got a pretty good sense of humor, and Claudia does too. Claudia has a pretty good sense of humor too, and we know your crazy grandmother has has some mental health issues, but um, I think between her dad and Claudia, excuse me, they're good people. They like to uh, help when you can. You know. Uh, help others when you can, and I think it's a bonnet trait that um, you help where you can. I think we get that from Grandma Granddad too. They would always, if somebody needed help, they would help, but they're not expecting anything in return and stuff. And I know, Grandpa was mechanically inclined. I got that from him. I remember helping him, fixing the bug in the bus as a kid, and I used to work on my BMX bike, by myself, back when I was a kid. Uh, just being outdoorsy, fishing, I got that from Grandpa. Though, your grandma liked to camp and stuff too. And I think her and Grandpa used to, and her parents, I think, did a lot of camping too. Because I think Pop, Grandma Shell's dad, Pop, I think they used to camp at Pinecrest when she was a kid. It was kind of ironic how, you know, Granddad, one of his last stations was here in Stanislaus National Forest, and so it's kind of small world, right? He spent summers up here with Granddad. Because Granddad, I think, stayed in a cabin down at Pinecrest, and sometimes over here there's a small Forest Service cabin, and then I think there's a smaller one up above it on top of the hill, right past Dardanelles. And I think Grandpa said they would stay there sometimes, but also stay at a cabin on Pinecrest, and because he was supposedly like the Column of the Giants, supposedly he designed that, and either the Boulder Flat Campground or the Brightman Campground, and then where the Column of the Giants is, there's a walk-in campground, and I think it's called Pigeon Flat. I think he designed that. I actually stopped at the Forest Service, and I got a name, a number, or email for a lady to contact and see if there's any way of confirming any of that, and so I'm gonna do it. But back to so the irony is, Dad met crazy grandma, and she knew the area and he did, and then they divorced. He meets Claudia, and they always camped up here. And Emmett Mossman still owned the cabin, and it was just a one room. And then they, when they moved away and sold it to Brad and Ruth, that's when Brad and Ruth finished the original design of the cabin, which is the way it sits today. I mean, I have the plans from 1948, and it shows exactly the way it looks today, but. They didn't buy it until I think it was 1975 or 76, and I had the plans for that too. And so I think Dad and Claudia met when I was 3, so I think it was 1973. So the irony is, they met, and they were always up here because Brad and Ruth helped Emmett and his wife. They used to camp all the time, and then Emmett decided, I'm gonna build myself a cabin, and so Brad and Ruth would camp here with them and help build it. So So it's kind of irony that Grandpa lucked out with two different women that all knew the area, and then passed along our love of the area to us. Right? What other traits? I don't know. This is where Grandpa, he taught me how to fish and shoot and stuff like that. Yeah. And when we were growing up with Grandma, up in the mountains, it was kind of like camping full time, because we didn't have electricity. At Pacifica, our dome didn't have a bathroom, so if you had to pee or poop, you had to do it outside. I remember, we had this giant like pickle jar that Mom and Lisa and me would pee in the middle of the night instead of going outside. We're lucky we didn't get eaten by a mountain lion back then, because mountain lions were still around way back then. But yeah, I learned how to probably mechanically incline, how to fix shit from Grandpa. That was probably the best trait. I have blue eyes. That's probably came from Gamar. I do like some landscape designing stuff. That probably came from Grandpa, or from Granddad, because he had nice gardens in Watsonville, rhododendrons. And when we were there, we would help out with the gardening. John probably did a little bit more, but because he was older. But if me, Lisa, and Stephanie, we would do a lot of cleaning indoors and stuff. But I remember working outside quite a bit. I remember I was mowing the lawn at home in San Jose. Granddad wouldn't let me freaking mow the lawn in Watsonville, and so finally he was inside doing something, and he wouldn't let me freaking touch the lawnmower and all. But I mowed the lawn at home, so I just opened up the garage door, took the lawnmower out, started it up, and he's all, "What are you doing?" I'm mowing the lawn. I don't know if he let me. I think he let me go ahead, because I had already started it, I think. So I knew, I knew what, I was mowing the lawn at home, and I think that's the last time he ever said anything about me not mowing the lawn. I remember we had to water the gardens quite a bit. There was no sprinkler system, and it was two lots in Watsonville side by side, and gardens on either side, and you'd have to hand water. And so we would do that, and there was grass we had to mow, stuff. The ginkgo tree, we had to cut the little leaves off the trunk of the ginkgo tree, I remember. So my gardening probably came from Granddad. But though, Dad and Claudia always had like a vegetable garden in the backyard of our house in San Jose and stuff. So, but that's all I can remember on the traits. My blue eyes from Gamar. You were probably going to have blue eyes. I think your mom has blue eyes. I have blue eyes. It's a recessive trait, I believe. And John and Lisa probably were always jealous because they didn't have blue eyes like me. Your crazy grandma, I think hers are hazel, if I remember correctly. So green or hazel, something like that. Yeah. Anywho, my baldness came from Grandpa. I think I have Grandpa's fingers, and specifically how the thumbs, the fingers, and how the fingernails look. Shape, I just remember Grandpa's being like that, though his fingers, I think, were a little bit bigger, thicker than mine. And, yeah. we get our flat ass, I think, from Grandpa, and both of them. So, so let's go to the next one. I can't think of any other traits, and you know, if we're kind of weird, it's probably from your grandma's side. All right, so it says childhood, page 16, sorry. Did you have special toys or items that were precious to you, and what's the story of how they came to you? I know I had a big ass Snoopy stuffed animal that Claudia made me, because she used to sew quite a bit, and she sewed me the big old Snoopy stuffed animal. God, it had been like that long, and I think it was laying down, I think, something like that. And there's photos of me with it somewhere. When they met, Grandpa was living in an apartment in Mountain View. I think it was like off Stevens Creek or something, or El Camino Real or something like that. I remember, like, if you're heading north, it was on the left side. You turned down the street, and then it was on the right. I think it was a one-bedroom apartment before they got the house in San Jose. I don't know where Claudia was living in, but it's the same apartment where you've seen the photos of me, Auntie, and Uncle John on Grandpa's motorcycle. That was in the apartment. The motorcycle was in the little patio of the apartment. And anyhow, so there's a photo of me with the Snoopy dog. I think I used to like the stuffed animals. Then I got into my bike. I had a Patterson racing bike. Now they're like 4,000 and up. I wish I had kept it. Mine was, I think it was like an 82 or 83 Patterson Racing Long Pro, I believe, is what it was. And, hey, I'm trying to talk. Who cares? Leave their doggy alone. It's okay. And, hey, I used to be into, building models and stuff quite a bit. Remote. Hey, Max. Hey, get away. Oh, you're tangled up. Hold that thought.